Even memory is illusory, a chemical imprint on meat that must one day decay.
Harvester is an interactive point-and-click adventure game released in 1996. You play as Steve, an amnesiac who wakes up in a strange middle American town called Harvest and has to figure out exactly who he is, why he's here, and how he can get out. Now, you've probably never heard of this game before and you're going to be in for a very bizarre experience. It's by far the strangest game I've ever played in my life. It's funny, shocking, and honestly with some of its content it's a real mystery that a game like this could be released in the 90s. It drew a huge amount of controversy, and one scene in particular where a group of children cannibalised their mother was censored in Germany and parts of Europe. It was a commercial flop, but since gained a cult following. And honestly, it's a true work of art. Everyone should see it, know about it, and play it. But anyway, let's get to it. It's day one and you wake up in your home. You can't remember anything and you have no idea who you are or where you are. All you know is that apparently you have a little brother who always watches TV.
A lousy rat. And you better be quiet or you'll wake Daddy up.
A mum who's always baking cookies.
Well, hello there. How about some cookies? There's plenty of rejects in the trash.
Who are you?
That's a fine way to talk to your mother.
Listen, this may sound strange, but I've lost my memory. Do you believe me?
Well, you always were a kidder, Steve.
A dad you never see because he's locked in his bedroom.
He and Mom went at it last night pretty hard. He stayed in bed. I saw what she did to him. It was pretty bad.
And a little baby sister. You're told that you're supposed to be marrying the Potsdam's daughter who lives next door, even though you have no memory of that either. So you go around the house and meet the parents.
What a card.
Would I kid about something like that? Why won't you believe me?
Well, you always were a kidder, Steve.
A greasy, creepy, fat guy obsessed with meat in your dad's meat factory.
Meat. Rows and rows of scrumptious red meat.
And a mum who looks strangely similar to your own, like they're the same actress with a different wig on or something.
Honestly, you men can insult a woman without even knowing you've done it. What a horrible thing to say.
You're both standing around baking cookies. Same cut of dress, same pearls. So bizarre.
There's nothing bizarre about baking cookies.
You walk upstairs to go see your bride-to-be, who's being kept there against her will, and in the bathroom you find out that there's a secret hole in the wall looking into her room. Creepy. You speak to her and find out that she's in the same situation as you. She has amnesia and can't remember who she is or how she got there.
I mean, I don't know anyone. I don't remember anything. How many times do I have to say it?
Just one, Stephanie, because I can't remember a damn thing either.
You talk to her about the Lodge, a shadowy organisation that runs and operates everything in the town. Everybody wants to join even though it's incredibly exclusive, and they all want you to join too. However, Stephanie thinks it's evil and wants you to stay away, but you're convinced that it's the only way to find out what's really going on. You tell her about the hole in the wall before leaving.
You mean a peephole? They're spying on me?
I'm afraid so.
So that's the scraping I hear every night. The picture sliding along the wall. Oh, disgusting.
And then confront your soon-to-be father-in-law.
You've got a peephole in the upstairs bathroom. It looks in on Stephanie's room.
Well, I'll be darned. How dare you? I'm no peeping Tom. I had no idea that was there.
Then you won't mind if I tell Stephanie about it.
Now, there's no need to scare Stephanie with this business.
Over the next 6 days you complete a variety of challenges given to you by the Lodge in order to gain entry, but keep in mind everyone you come across is utterly insane and out of their minds. You find out that the teacher at Guy Memorial School brutally punishes the kids by hitting them over the head with a baseball bat and threatening to get out a chainsaw.
If an A-bomb hits, what good is it gonna do to duck and cover?
Keep in mind how brutal this is for the 90s. A dead child, blood pouring out of his head. Well, anyway, the sheriff has been secretly blackmailing the post office employee Boyle because he burnt down a newspaper building. He doesn't like any business that can potentially compete with the Mail. The deputy is also another sex-obsessed creepy old guy who keeps asking you to buy him a dirty magazine from the store. Eventually you give him one so you can get into the police evidence locker and he goes off to distract himself.
Oh, by Jiminy. Oh, this here's the real thing. Oh, can I have it?
By the time you come out of the evidence locker, the sheriff has already found him.
Round him out, Mr. Gum. Oh, that's good.
Linus, damn you!
Wait, no. No! No!
Lighting up the mattress again!
Keep in mind this is the most normal part of the entire game, but anyway, let's continue. You give the evidence to Boyle and in return you get the lodge application form. That's the end of day 1. For some reason they show you a video of him getting undressed every single time. On day 2 you go back to Geen Memorial and catch the teacher screwing the principal in the closet, and they give you the baseball bat to keep you quiet. The sergeant at arms at the lodge tells you that your first challenge is to scratch Mr. Johnson's favourite car, and he's in love with it. He'll try to murder you if he catches you doing it.
There is in Harvest a man named Mr. Johnson. He owns a Tucker. It is his pride and joy. I should like you to put a scratch in it.
So you sneak into the sewers at night, go up into his garage and scratch it. You visit the cemetery on the way back and find Mr. Potsdam very suspiciously burying something in the dirt.
What are you doing here at this hour, Mr. Potsdam?
I'm burying our cat. She passed away and I'm burying her. Go away and mind your own business.
Then, where's the cat?
I left her at home. Now leave me alone!
Somehow I don't think it's a cat. You tell the sergeant at arms that you scratched the car, and that's the end of day 2.
Now that you've scratched the Tucker, you may proceed to your second task. You will steal a bolt of fabric from the fireman and bring it to me.
You talk to your mum and find out that Mr. Johnson is livid about finding his car scratched.
By the way, I spoke with Mr. Johnson and he's livid. Seems someone scratched up his priceless Tucker. If he finds out who, there'll be heck to pay.
You also find out that the waitress's kid at the diner has gone missing.
Edna's daughter Karen has disappeared. Karen was playing outside as Edna closed the diner, and that's the last anyone saw of her.
You go back down to the spot that Mr. Potsdam was supposedly burying his cat and find the little girl.
Thank God I found you. Are you alright, Karen?
I want to go home. Could you take me to my mommy's store? Or to the policeman?
Can you tell me who did this to you?
Mr. Potsdam told me he'd hurt my mommy if I told.
Ah, yeah. The implication later on is that he molested her and then tried to bury her alive. Don't really know how she survived being buried underground, but yep, a game released in the 90s. You escort the girl back to her mum and get thanked. And as we know, our next task is to steal a piece of red cloth from the firemen at the firehouse. Now, the firemen are all gay and spend their time painting a half-naked man. It sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud, but before we can get to the firehouse, we first have to go see our dad and get him to sign the meet permission slip. We sneak in through the barred up window and find him... Oh my fucking god.
My God, what has she done to you?
When a man and a woman love each other very much, they go into a room alone and shut the door and bolt it with at least 3 locks and prop a chair under the doorknob so no one can get in or out. Then they take off their clothes and get out a wide variety of scalpels, some curved, some short, all of them sharp, and then the man climbs on the woman, and then they, with the barbed wire, they...
I mean, what can you say about this scene? I guess first of all, why do they have a cow? What's that for? Oh, Jesus Christ, how did the blood get on the ceiling? Oh, that's horrible. Oh my god. Okay, so we have the meat permission slip. We go down to the meat factory and 3 guesses as to what the meat is made out of. Somehow Steve just can't figure it out. O'Reilly gives us the meat now that we have the signed permission slip, and we head down to the firehouse in the cloak of darkness. We calm the angry dog and check under the sheet. It's the male model. He tells us he won't snitch to the fireman and even gives us a hint as to where the red cloth is, hidden under the lamp. We grab the cloth, get out of there, and that's the end of day 3. It's day 4. You go to the general store and buy tape and a wrench. You talk to Stephanie and come clean that you've been performing initiation tasks to join the lodge.
I visited the lodge, talked to the sergeant-at-arms there. He knows that there's something out of whack here. He told me if I wanted to find out what it is, I should join the lodge. I've decided to join the lodge, Stephanie. I think the answer to all our questions is inside.
She tries to talk you out of it and tells you that it's way too sinister.
You may be playing right into their hands. Did you think of that? Doesn't it seem like you're being herded toward the lodge?
That's one of the things I hope to find out.
I hope finding out doesn't get you killed.
You go back to the sergeant-at-arms to give him the cloth from the firehouse. He gives you your next task, which is to break into Mr. Pastorelli's barber shop and steal his beloved barber's pole.
Still, that is not your concern. Your next assignment is to break into the tonsorial establishment of Mr. Pastorelli and abscond with his prized barber's pole.
You head down to the barber shop in the cloak of darkness, tape the door and smash it with the fire axe. You unscrew the barber's pole, bolt out of the door, and that's the end of day 4. It's day 5. You wake up, talk to your mum and find out that Pastorelli electrocuted himself by touching the live wires left behind after he stole his barber's pole.
The next morning, Pastorelli touched some live wires that the thief left lying around and was electrocuted. Well, that darn foreigner got what he deserved, if you ask me.
Jesus Christ, these pranks are starting to have a lot worse consequences. She also tells you that the big bake sale is coming up soon. You go see Stephanie and your relationship starts to blossom.
I feel so close to you, Steve. Like we're the only 2 people in Harvest. The only 2 real people. Do you know what I mean?
You both have sex because you have to have your priorities in order, right?
I want you. Make love to me.
Fuck, that's disgusting. Remember when I said there was a hole in the wall? I bet you forgot about that from the start of the video, didn't you? Right, let's carry on. You go to the mortuary. Apparently a lot of homeless people travel through Harvest and mysteriously die while they're there. The bake sale all the mums are preparing for is to raise money for the mortician so we can give them proper burials. However, we see a rather suspicious looking corpse in the casket, so we take a photo and deduce that the mortician hasn't just been burying the homeless, but killing them too. He gives us a tube of glue in exchange for the photo and our silence. We go to the lodge and the sergeant-at-arms tells us that our next task is to burn down a diner.
Your final assignment is to set a fire in DNA's diner and let the French fry where they may.
What the hell? Everything is really ramping up now. We're doing terrible things and we don't know what that's going to mean in the long term. It's night time. We stop off at the bake sale and all the mums look exactly the same.
Mercy, what a terrible thing to say. Isn't it, ladies?
Yes, terrible.
Suddenly, someone rushes in and tells us that the TV station is on fire. We run over and see the postman, Boyle, running off with the gas can that we gave him earlier. Jesus Christ. We go to the diner, break in, use the glue on the cake tin to cover the fire alarm, turn the gas on, light a match and torch the bastard. And that's the end of day 5. Jesus Christ, what is going to happen from here? Right, day 6, the last day, the strangest day. You talk to your mum and she's angry about the TV station burning down and ruining her bake sale. She feels like she's got no purpose in life. Now, I preface this is when you're treated to, in my opinion, the most fucked up cutscene in the entire game. It isn't the worst, really, but it comes out of nowhere. Unlike the others, you just aren't expecting it. But I'll let you decide.
What's wrong with her? My goodness. Oh, it's not as bad as it looks. You just pop them back in. See?
What the fuck? There's no reason that happens at all. It has no bearing on the game or story. The baby's eyeballs pop out and she has to push them back in. Ah, well anyway, it gives her a new purpose to raise her child, so I don't know. You leave the house and go check out the remnants of the TV station. One of the cowboy actors that works there had his face burnt off. Jesus Christ.
The whole shebang just went up in flames, and I'm looking to mosey on to greener pastures, where the sunset's always golden, and there's always another savage to kill.
You then go to the diner and walk in and, oh god, Edna has murdered her daughter and commits suicide over the loss of her diner.
I've tried so hard to find an excuse to keep on fighting, but Karen and I can't go on alone any longer. This diner he left us was all we had. It was always a struggle to keep it running in such a small town. And now we've lost it. I know that I can't afford to support us now. There's only one way out. I'm sure you won't be able to understand the depth of despair that would enable a mother to put a rope around her baby's neck and push her into the air and jump after her. I wonder if I'll hear her next now. If she kicks around and takes a long time to strangle, I'll scream, but I won't cut her down. I've got to be stronger than I ever was before. But I hope she doesn't get it. God help us and forgive us, Edna Fitzpatrick.
Right, let's stop and think for a minute. Remember when Doom came out and everyone went insane because they had over the top violence and satanic imagery and all of that? But what have we seen here? A game from 1996. A fucking child hanging from a noose alongside her mother who killed her. You can barely even show dead children in games these days. Fucking Skyrim had to take out the ability to kill children, and in Harvester you have a little girl twirling from a goddamn noose. Also, I suppose I should make a comment about the sheriff just eating in front of their corpses. But this is all building up to something, seriously, you'll never guess what it is, but keep in mind everything that's happened and it's all building up to something. You check up on Stephanie again, she's getting increasingly depressed and anxious.
I saw the TV station go up from my window. It lighted up the whole town. It looked like hell. I wished it would consume the whole damn place. And me with it.
Don't talk like that.
It makes sense because, unlike us, she's been kept prisoner in her room the entire time. But then she asked to have sex with you again? Okay, do you know what? Nobody has plugged that hole in the wall, so it's still there, but, you know, why not go for it? After that, you talk to her again, and this time she asks you about Pestorelli's death, and we own up to it.
Oh my god! Steve, that was no little prank! A man died!
It was an accident. Forgot about the live wires in the water.
That doesn't change the fact that you killed him. This initiation killed him.
It was just an accident.
An accident which wouldn't have happened if not for the lodge. Don't you see? I'm beginning to think that the lodge poisons everything it touches. Harvest, even you.
She asks whether we burn down the diner, and we lie.
This had the stamp of another lodge initiation stunt.
Maybe so, but I had nothing to do with it.
Thank God for that. She hung herself, you know. And Karen. Can you imagine? Killing your own daughter? The despair she must have been feeling to do something like that? She must have felt there was no way to carry on after the fire.
Accidents happen.
It was no accident. The sheriff supposedly found evidence that the fire was set. Are you sure you didn't...
Would I lie to you?
No. I'm sure you wouldn't.
It's just going to be too much for her. The violence, the death, everything is escalating now. She tells us it's because of the lodge, but we just don't listen. You leave and go back to the lodge. You tell the sergeant at arms that you set a fire in the diner, and he tells us that this wasn't part of the initiation after all. We're not part of the lodge yet, we're just ready to be candidates. Ah, fucking hell.
This was only a trial to determine your worthiness for testing. Your initiation into the mysteries of the harvest will soon begin. In the meantime, be patient. Protocols must be observed before initiation may commence.
How will I recognize this sign?
You will know when you receive the invitation. Bring it here, and your initiation shall begin.
We have to wait for an invitation. So we head back home, talk to Mum, and she tells us something horrible has happened to Stephanie.
Oh dear, I just heard what happened to Stephanie.
What do you mean? What happened to her?
You haven't heard? Well, young man, you march right over there this instant. She's your fiancée, after all.
We quickly run around to Stephanie's house and see Mr. Potsdam going mental. He's outside the door, upset and talking nonsense.
Guess I can forget about the meat, huh?
What do you mean?
Your dad must have pulled some strings. Be sure and check Stephanie's pillow, you lucky bum.
What the hell are you talking about?
You'll see once the sheriff gets here. Stephanie. Things will never be the same now.
We walk in and we're introduced to another huge what the fuck moment.
Okay, you can come in now, son.
My God. Is that what I think it is?
Yep, it's a spinal cord.
Is it Stephanie?
I can see a resemblance, but I can't be sure.
More pie, Sheriff?
Pie? Don't you realize what's happened?
Oh, indeed I do. I can just hear the tongues wagging at the PTA. Was it suicide?
Never heard of anyone pulling their own spinal cord out before. Off the record, I'd have to say no. No, all in all, I'd say this was death by natural causes.
Natural causes?
You can't live without a spinal cord, son. Nothing unnatural about that. Think I will have some more pie.
Right away.
I can't believe this. This is horrible.
Believe me, you get to the point to where this is routine. Now the only clue we got is that card on her pillow. Take a look at it.
This is practically a confession.
Confession of what, son?
Murder. Isn't that what you're here to investigate?
Son, you don't investigate natural deaths. No point.
Then I'll get to the bottom of this myself.
Yeah. I'm sure you will.
More pie, Sheriff?
Don't mind if I do.
Don't worry too much though, because we're not certain that actually is Stephanie. We take the invitation to the Sergeant at Arms and, oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention that he communicates through telepathy. That's why his mouth doesn't move.
You received the invitation, but you have not brought it.
I don't understand.
The invitation was not the card, but the spinal cord. It must be presented to me ere I allow you to enter.
Oh god, we need the spinal cord. Stephanie's spinal cord is the invitation. We've gone too far now, way too far to turn back. We head down to the graveyard, climb up the crypt, and this is where the fighting portion of the game becomes necessary. I bet you didn't even know there was combat. We kill the dog, open the crypt, and steal the spinal cord. We take it back to the Sergeant at Arms and he gives us the sacred dagger of the lodge.
Ah, you have done well. Now let the initiation commence. As your mystic arc, it is requested and required that I turn over this sacred dagger to you to aid you in your quest.
What is this?
We demand to know whether Stephanie is being held captive inside, but he tells us that we have to become a member to find out.
Just tell me, is Stephanie dead or being held within?
The membership director on the second level keeps track of such things.
Oh great, then you are against me.
I am the Sergeant at Arms. I am here to ensure that the protocols are observed.
He opens the door and we're in.
Now, let the initiation begin.
Hey guys, this is just a little interlude. This video used to be in 2 parts and I can't find a good way to splice it together. So go get a drink, go get some snacks, come back in a second and we'll restart.
Delicious things to eat. The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
The making of Harvester. Harvester is a graphically violent experience in terror, combining role-playing action and combat with an intense cinematic storyline. It is a strange and twisted world where things aren't what they seem. Secrets are kept behind closed doors, and if you're smart, you'll leave them there.
Welcome back to part 2 mate, we're finally inside the lodge. If you haven't seen part 1 then I highly recommend you watch that first. This game is strange and you'll want to know how we got here. Anyway, let's do it, finally let's do it. We're greeted by this guy who mistakes us for an exterminator. Apparently the lodge has become infested by pests that need to be killed.
In that case, I'm afraid you'll have a hard time of it, sir. Recently the lodge has become infested by pests. They need exterminating or, to be blunt, sir, they need killing.
We ask him how we get to the second floor and he tells us that it's hidden and basically we need to work it out ourselves. Nothing's ever easy. We fall into a trap door in the room and go sliding down into a disgusting flesh-covered hole, landing in a gooey tunnel. Oddly enough, this is now the second game I've talked about where you walk around inside of a dodgy looking tunnel. Oh, there's the sphincter. We kill the weird bug creatures and escape for a burst eyeball. Our clothes are now covered in burning slime and we need to get it off quickly. Inside of a bar we drink a beer and for some reason it summons our evil doppelganger. I guess it's supposed to be commentary on the evils of alcohol, but I don't know. We kill him and he drops the key to the cash register. We find the meat worker inside the lodge cooking up dismembered bodies. Lovely. We grab a leg and the torso. We find the cloakroom and we pay the attendant to wash our clothes, getting the slime off. This was so annoying to do back in the day. You have no idea what order you have to do things in and you used to die so quickly. I had to keep replaying this over and over and over and over again. You gotta love those old point and click adventure games. Anyway, we killed the attendant for no real reason and none of the rooms have any real logical connection to them. So we find ourselves at a bridge in a sewer and there's a monster bubbling under the water that will try to eat us if we pass. So we throw the body parts in as a distraction and run over to the door. Inside there's some weed killer to pick up but not much else, so we walk all the way back down and end up in a room with a killer plant and a fountain. Use the weed killer to kill the plant and look inside the fountain. Now god, this fucking part. Look at this and tell me if you see anything. I'll give you a clue. There's something here we need to pick up. Have a close look. I'll give you 10 seconds to find it. No luck? Here's another hint, it's a key. Try looking again. It's impossible, isn't it? There's nothing there. I was stuck here for ages the first time I played this game, and now that I'm back I still can't find it. It's here! Who the fuck would ever notice that? I spammed the mouse around the screen trying to see some text pop up and I still couldn't get it. I was literally here for about half an hour. Oh my god. So after that ordeal we grab the key and go into the next room. We kill another random monster and climb the rope to the second level, and as we do we hear Stephanie screaming. We end up in a museum and the curator gives us a philosophical lesson on the value of different kinds of art.
That's always the dilemma, sir. What are the boundaries of art? Only you can answer that, and only for yourself. Lovely works, pastoral scenes, noble sculptures. These are easy on the eye and mind. But when confronted with a work of hideous form, you're forced to deal with it, even if only to dismiss it as trash. Sadly, the most extreme works are the hardest to dismiss.
We start looking for an exit, killing random statues as we explore. Eventually we find the key and get out. The lodge membership director, who's also the old postman Boyle, greets us. We ask where we can find Stephanie and he tells us we first need to find a Cupid doll by slaying a Cupid somewhere on this level.
The lodge is a traditional place, young man, and by tradition, when a young man is courting a young woman, he wins for her a Cupid doll at the fair. There is no fair within the lodge. However, I have seen a thing which resembles a Cupid somewhere on this floor. Seek it out, slay it, and return here with a prize if you would seek your lady.
We leave and explore for a bit. We find a room with a chess master who has a noticeable scar on his forehead. He tells us we need to either beat him in chess or fight him to the death to pass through. I don't know how to play chess, so I choose the latter.
Chess is a civilized game. How sad that we must now resort to a less civilized form of conflict.
Oh my god, what the hell. Oh god, killing the chess piece also kills him. The key is inside his gore-filled head. We walk around looking for the Cupid and find an angry janitor, and in my opinion he's the funniest character in the entire game.
Excuse me, you can't come in right now, I just mopped the floor. You think just because I'm a janitor I got no pride? That's all I got to do all day is clean up after you rich bastards? Take a hike before you get hurt! All right, buddy. You asked for it.
We walk into the next room and... Oh, Jesus Christ. That actually startled me. What is this room? What's the relation? What does it mean? I don't get it. Ah, well, we get the Cupid doll and key. We unlock a room with the key and collect 2 American flags on the stage. We go into the back and pick up some floorboards. In another room there's a zombie to kill and a lighter to pick up. On the wall back outside there's a happy mask and a sad mask. Spinning them in the correct way opens a way to the boiler room. Inside the boiler room there's a puzzle to figure out. It's going to explode if you don't fix the pipes. Luckily we manage it and move on to the next room. No idea why the floor is made of lava, and somehow using the wooden floorboards we picked up lets you pass over it. Ah, another trap. The ceiling is fallen, so we have to put both of the flags on the pedestals. Is this supposed to be symbolism or not? Who knows. Anyway, last room. We kill a security guard and climb the rope to level 3. We hear Stephanie scream again. Now we're on the top floor. This is where we spent the entire game trying to get to, and I call it the floor of heavy-handed symbolism. But really, this floor has a temple dedicated to about every random thing in the world.
This is the temple of the mystery of abstinence. Do not eat of the food or you will be punished. All within are hereby bound to a vow of abstinence.
The first room is the temple of abstinence, and there's a fat guy eating burgers. Once we let him finish, he tries to kill us.
You obey well, Initiate. Better than your brethren. They have eaten and grown stronger for it. As promised, I will not punish you for your obedience, but they will.
And in the next room, oh god, this is the scene that went too far.
Mommy, you're so good. You're so good.
Shocked? This is the mystery of motherly love. Everyone says motherhood is fulfilling, when in reality, it's draining.
This part, the Temple of Motherly Love, got the game banned in Germany and censored in parts of Europe.
From the start, children are parasites. That's what you've got to understand. Sucking the life out of you. Your very life's blood pumping from your belly through obscene pink tubes into their thieving hearts. And even after birth, they keep leeching the life from you.
And to top off the absolute madness, we chop each individual kid in half with a scythe. Carrying on, next room is the Temple of Religion. You basically just have to answer a series of asinine and ridiculous questions.
Those who preach love and mercy in God's name are often those who call for the death of heathens. Do you believe in God, my son? You are wise. His mercy anoints us all. And where doth he dwell, the Lord? Indeed, any other response would be blasphemous. Does the Lord bounce on a spring or frolic with the wombats? Doth God Almighty herd them with his staff or with special imported wombat herding equipment? Is God a jar of strawberry preserves, a size 12 sneaker, a foot-long stogie, an all-expense-paid trip to Brazil, or a new car?
After that we go into the Vietnam room. What? There's just no connection. It's like the game wants to have social commentary on every single topic in the world.
My country paid me to kill. And then when I came home, I was out of a job. They expected me to stop? Cold turkey? Is that what they wanted? A paycheck today, jail cell tomorrow? Am I a criminal or an entrepreneur? Hey, let's find out.
And here's a blast from the past. The next room has Mr. Potsdam in it.
Welcome to the Temple of the Mystery of Flesh, Steve. Have a bite?
Mr. Potsdam?
The mystery is this. Sometimes you have to lose some meat to get some meat. They wouldn't let me in until I demonstrated my worthiness. My invitation came after I buried Karen alive. That showed initiative.
And her spinal cord was your ticket in, right?
Yes, but to be initiated into the mysteries of the harvest, I had to do one last thing. I let them into the house and into Stephanie's bedroom.
Well, we kill him for letting the lodge capture Stephanie, the bastard. On to the next room. It's the Temple of Lust.
Scorn mixed with desire, that's our lot. Such is the mystery of lust. So often the instruments of lust, as all instruments of higher pleasure, are condemned as frequently as they are sought after. I'd go on about the hypocrisy of a hedophobic society, but I think I'd rather just kill me a man.
In the next room there's a generally quite attractive woman. She's quite vain though.
Welcome to the Temple of Beauty. And am I not beautiful, oh man? Look at my hair, black as a moonless night. Look into my eyes, deep pools of desire. And what else? And what else? insult my beauty?
There's so much combat in the later half of this game, and the combat sucks. There's no rhyme or reason to anything, no timing. You just spam the attack button and sometimes you die, sometimes you don't. You have a tiny little health bar and oh my god. Anyway, next room. It's the Temple of Pain. Very sexual.
Welcome, Initiate, to the Temple of the Mystery of Pain. The mystery is thus. The simple manipulation of nerves may break one man, and yet leave another unmoved.
He wants us to whip the guy, so we do.
I invite you now to torture this man on the table, to explore this blessed mystery yourself. Otherwise, I'll have to teach you the lesson myself.
The next room has the deputy. It's the Temple of Charity.
Welcome to the Temple of the Mystery of Charity.
What mystery is there in charity, for God's sake?
The mystery is thus. Any act of charity is an act of selfishness, for in any charitable exchange one must take from another, and one is always left the poorer.
Again, another fight, we kid him. Next room. The Temple of Mercy.
This is the Temple of the Mystery of Mercy. You're just in time for our little retirement ceremony. As part of your initiation, you'll be required to execute them. That's how old people are disposed of in the lodge, and each member is expected to do his share.
He wants us to kill these two helpless elderly people, but we can just kill him instead, you know, to be nice. After this, there's a fight with a guy standing on top of a TV set, and we're into the final room. Yep, load of nonsense.
Welcome to the inner sanctum, big guy.
Principal Harold?
Within the inner sanctum, you will address me as Vice Muck Harold, second in command to the Grand Muckety Muck. He of the Fez and Buffalo Ham, the secret handshake, the funny passwords. Only fitting, given that my role has always been that of an educator, and Harvest is one big classroom.
But anyway, we're about to confront the grand mystery. This is it, the end of the game. If you want to play Harvester yourself, I recommend you stop here and go do so. I haven't shown you everything, and the game is definitely still worth playing for yourself. But anyway, if you're still here, let's do it.
This is always a great moment, when the initiate passes over the threshold and becomes a brother.
Stephanie?
I believe you have something for her. Ring the bell and win a prize for the lovely lady. Or is it win the lovely lady as your prize?
Enough games.
Agreed. Each time you climbed the rope, you caused her pain, but you always hurt the ones you love. Is that all you require?
I want an explanation.
Of course you do. There are no such things as monsters. And yet, you've killed monsters. Everything in Harvest is just slightly askew. This is because, as advanced as our technology is, we cannot make the sim any better than this. The subject's subconscious always warps it in unpredictable ways.
Sam?
This is nothing more than a virtual reality designed by the Harvesters to test potential members. Having successfully completed the program, you have earned the right to become a harvester.
What the hell is a harvester?
The hand that grips the knife that stabs, the ones who move amid the crop and harvest the fruit.
You're talking about people. Killing people.
Again and again and again, I believe the technical term is serial killer. The harvesters seek to perpetuate terror and discord for our own purposes. We do this through the random utility of murder, and we persevere through our recruitment of initiates like yourself.
You want me to become a serial killer?
This entire reality has been engineered to break down your resistance, to desensitize you to violence. Now you may become a harvester and re-enter the real world, or stay in peace with young Stephanie and spend the rest of your life in the construct known as harvest.
What is the real world at this point?
Right now, you are suspended in a sensory deprivation tank wired to a VR deck. If you don't join us, we will terminate your life support, and you will be dead within minutes. Those last minutes, however, will seem like a lifetime lived in harvest. You will marry Stephanie and die peacefully of old age.
You're presuming a lot.
Aside from you, she is the only real person in harvest, suspended in a tank, jacked in just as you are. I assume you'll want to spend time together.
If I stay.
Of course, having completed your ordeal, you may leave with her as you intended and enjoy your victory. If, on the other hand, you wish to join us, the cost of exiting the lodge is the same as the cost of entering the lodge: a skull and spinal cord. Hers.
No, you couldn't kill me. These harvesters, they put people through this torture to give them a taste for killing. The way to beat them is to deny them, to live out your life here with me. You're thinking about killing me, aren't you? Didn't you hear what he said? I do exist. If you kill me here, I'll die for real. And I'll feel all the pain, all the terror, because I'm real.
Well, after all, what's a murder without pain and terror? We will feed the pain impulses directly into her brain and then pull the plug. You will be a murderer, this time for real. So what will it be? Life in harvest, or life as a harvester?
Well, damn, we have a tough choice to make. Did anyone see that coming? I think everybody wants us to save Stephanie, so let's do that.
You disappoint me. You had possibilities.
I'd rather die than become as twisted as you.
You've made your choice and succeeded in your quest. Enjoy the life you've chosen. such as it is.
What a waste. This kid could have been something. Never looked back. We got 2 more to plug in. There's gotta be a better way to develop these serial killers. This is scientific. You want we should go back to the old way? What old way? Good breeding.
Damn, that's a lot to take in, but before we talk about it, let's quickly look at what happens if we choose to kill Stephanie.
Wow, that was neat.
Welcome to our order, brother.
Where are you going?
Nowhere. Nowhere at all.
What are you doing, son?
Playing Harvester.
That thing? I looked at it the other day. The very thought. Breeding serial killers. It's disgusting.
It's cool.
You'll rot your mind playing games like that. Don't you know people who watch violence become violent themselves?
That's bullshit, Mom.
No, it isn't. Why do you think they started cutting the violence out of those Roadrunner cartoons?
Roadrunner cartoon. Roadrunner cartoon?
What the fuck? Roadrunner cartoons! Anyway, can we make sense of all this? Well, this entire game is primarily a commentary on video game violence. It came out in 1996 in America and it was a huge controversy back then. News stations and parts of the government were peddling the theory that violent video games were responsible for school shootings and bad behaviour and everything. When you go back and look at the entire game from that perspective, it starts to make sense. It's obviously a dark comedy horror too, but the creator was against censorship and blaming video games for bad parenting and wanting to examine whether violent media creates violence. Now, the game, how good is it? Well, I love it just because of its pure oddity and craziness. It's a spectacle from start to finish, but how well does it accomplish its goals? Not amazingly. It's a bit convoluted. You can poke 100 holes in the plot if you wanted to. There's a choice between 2 options at the end, but there's no choices throughout the majority of the game. Like, you have to do all the initiations to enter the lodge, burn down the diner, etc. You don't have a choice. But either way, it's unlike any other game I played in my life. You don't get stuff like this these days. To leave on a little bit of a bad note, the actor who played Steve was actually arrested in 2010 for possession of child pornography. I think a lot of the actors they got to appear in this game are probably a little bit mental. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed these 2 Real Human videos on Harvester. They both took a damn long time. If you made it this far, I want you to comment below and tell me your thoughts about the game. Did they accomplish their goals? Was there anything you wanted to say that I didn't mention? Or are you just stunned by what you've seen? Right, see you, mate.
You think just because I'm a janitor I got no pride? That's all I got to do all day is clean up after you rich bastards? Think eyes before you get hurt!